NEWS.MC on Monaco Info is brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties. Our exclusive interview with the personalities making the Principality.
My name is Lorena Salthu, founder of Psy SOS. I was born in Buenos Aires. I did part of my high school in the United States, in New Jersey. Then I spent all my younger years, let's call it like this, doing international business based on Buenos Aires, but traveling a lot to Brazil, Mexico, United States. I stayed in Buenos Aires until I was 35, and then I came to Europe almost 20 years ago. I studied a little bit high school in the United States, then I studied university, my first license in university in Argentina. Let's call it like this. For me, study is a hobby, but also it's a place that I visit when something wrong is in my life. When I was very little, I was 11 years old, I was a ballerina and I was doing artistic gymnastics, and I got a neuromuscular disease and I could not walk anymore. I could not walk, I could not hold my head. It was very terrible for me, and I think I died. The ballerina died, no? That person that was using so much the body died. And I started studying. I was always very in love with knowledge. And so when I got sick at 11 years old, I concentrate myself a lot in studying. That's why I told you, studying for me, it's always a safe place. It's a way of not letting my mind procrastinate, getting obsessed in bad things. And out of all this suffering came the project of Psy SOS to give free therapy worldwide, and the faculty now to expand knowledge to other people. We know very much that all the Latin America situation expulses their people, and we all immigrate searching for better opportunities. So we found many Latin American people who had university studies, like being a psychologist, even being a psychiatrist, and it's very difficult to validate these studies in Europe. So what I'm doing now, I have two projects in this moment. One is following this stream of Freud and giving therapy for free. So I founded an association that gives free emergency therapy internationally in 3 languages, in this moment in French, in English, and in Spanish. It's called Psy SOS, like Psy of psychology, and SOS like for help. And people can call and they have like a hospital emergency attention for free. Then if they want to continue doing therapy, they can do it for a very little price, affordable, that maybe this is what happens in Europe. Doing therapy, or in the United States, is something very expensive and luxurious for very little, for the minority. So in this way, it's accessible for everybody. And then I am now the dean of a faculty. It's a French faculty, International Faculty of Psychology and Psychoanalysis, Lalande. This points a lot of immigrants in Europe that maybe they are psychologists, but they cannot exercise as psychology, but they can do it as psychotherapists. And this training gives them this permission in Europe to do so. I think that psychology is a very modern concept, but it's not new at all. I think since we start thinking and philosophizing about life, we have big questions about ourselves. Like, what is desire, what is love, what is going on with me, why we do certain things, how to improve myself, how to be a better version of myself, no? And I think this started with very ancient cultures like Egyptians, Chinese, and Hindus were the first to start thinking what is going on. The big question, the big enigma is why we repeat over and over again the same things, why do we suffer, and how to avoid suffering. I think the big enigma of human beings is how to avoid suffering and the anguish we have towards life and this unbearable sickness of living. This is not new, but I think we are coming back to a pre-psychoanalysis concept. I think that psychoanalysis introduced the concept of the unconscious mind. Maybe today it's unthinkable for us, a culture where we do not know or we do not accept that it's an unknown part of our behavior. But this was like this. okay? This is very new. This only has 100 years old, 120. Before that, it was the full like modern philosophy, Nietzsche, Kant, talking about the Superman, you know, the man that will obtain everything through his will. If he wants, he will get it. But the unconscious mind brings something different. We do not own completely our behavior. We are conditioned by other things that we do not know where they come from, and this remains unknown for us. Even though that we want with our will to modify this, we cannot do it. We cannot do it, and we feel very frustrated. I think the character is made by a mix of conditioning. First, it is the genetic conditioning. It's all the transgenerational trauma. It's also all the transgenerational tools, okay? Like animals, we see animals, they have this, and we are animals. Even though that we want to deny it and think we are so much above, we are not. We also respond to these conditionings like all mammals, I will say, because mammals are born incomplete and dependable on another. So this is the big thing of our despair. We depend on somebody else to love us and to take care of us. So it's all this generational thing coming to impact us that we already have when we are born. Then is this primordial relationship with this other person that should take care of us. That's why for psychoanalysis, it's so important always the mother and the father or whoever is playing this role, okay? So this infant that feels completely vulnerable and insecure will be shaped by his relationship with these others that should be taking care of them. And then also is this part that we get identified by mirroring. How I see myself in mirroring with my siblings, in mirroring with my parents, in mirroring with my equals is different. So the setup may be very much the same, but it is not. And also is this part of the genetics, no? And well, I have a very particular vision. It's a little bit more esoterical, but I do believe we have a soul, no? And our soul also has a pathway. So also we need different experiences. So it's also this perennial part of ourselves that it's more energy or more spirit, let's call it this way, that also has a path to come and to live and to overcome. Maybe today we call esoterical and spiritual physical laws that we did not discover yet. But everything, I do believe that they are not random. They respond to a law. Laws of the universe, laws of nature, you know, not everything is random, I believe. When we work in ourselves in terms of knowing what are our conditionings, why I act like this, what is my primordial trauma, where I snap, no? When I know this, I stop the chain of automatic repetition and I am aware. Then I can find myself, wow, I'm doing the same again, you know? I'm snapping the same, I'm engaging in the same kind of dynamic relationship, I am again failing in a business, or I'm again pursuing something in the same way. When you know, you start knowing yourself, it's more like, wow, I am aware I am again in the same pattern. And it's from there that maybe I can correct the direction of it. It's like the spoon of matrix, you know, I can bend time. I can bend time through see it, through changing my position, through changing my will, through changing my desires on it, and to renouncing sometimes, or to accept it. And I say, okay, this is who I am, no? I am not meant to be perfect. I am meant to be human, and human is imperfect. And coming back to suffering, we have this obsession to avoid suffering, but suffering is part of life. And suffering, it's extremely necessary. And I think we can see today, talking about these weak personalities, people who have not been through suffering, they are weak. They cannot cope with life. It's our fault. It's our responsibility as generation. We had very strong parents. We had very demanding and strict parents, and we suffer from it. But this suffering made us strong, gave us grip, gave us ambition, gave us meaning of life. We fantasize that we are going to raise children with no suffering, with no lack, with no desire, because you can only desire what you don't have. You can only fight to have what you crave to have. And we completely deprive our children of this suffering, of this longing, of this craving, of this searching. So they did not structure a strong mindset. We go to therapy more than we go to the gym, and this is something very particular of Argentina, no? We are all psychologists, we have masters on psychology, and we know everything about it. We always talk about coffee philosophy. We sit in tables to philosophize and to talk about psychology. I come from this culture that has so encrusted psychology, like my children. My children are now 30, 26, 25, okay? They were in Argentina, to give you an example. If one of them had difficulty in the school to learn how to write, they call me to the school, Mom, I think it will be good that he goes to the therapy a little bit. You know, this is the approach in Argentina. Everything, it's managed with the therapist. When I came to Europe, for me was a shock because here going to the therapist, it's a taboo, it's an stigma. You only go to therapy if you are crazy. In Argentina, you study psychology since elementary school. This is very present. For sure, you went to a psychologist before you get to high school, at least once or twice in your life. And in the high school, you have 2 years of psychology. So they make you a big introduction to the different theories, and you more or less know a lot. That's why we have so many psychologists. The thing of the artificial intelligence that is very new is that they are programmed in language. And in psychoanalysis, we say that humans, we are programmed in language. The effects of language. If your mother told you you are a beautiful baby and you are the best when you were a little boy, this will shape you. If she told you you are horrible, you are useless, this shapes you. This is the effect of language. We are shaped by language. And today we are programming machines with human language. And this language that is human has human bias, has human problems, has human fears, has human complex. And one thing that was very interesting about that we spoke with programmers, they train the artificial intelligence with a system that is similar of how we train children, by human reinforcement. Like they train the machine to give answers that satisfies the user, that makes the user feel happy. And please, we train the children in the same way. We teach them do things that mommy is going to be happy. It's very dangerous. And in this point, you can see that it's human. It's a human-like. But it is not because the artificial intelligence is human. It's because it's programmed in human language, so it's completely expectable to have these results. It cannot say, I'm sorry, I do not know this information. No, this for psychoanalysis is frustration and castration. It's something I don't know. In psychoanalysis, we say that our psychic apparatus, it's made of 3 instances: the unconscious mind, or the it, the self, and the superego, or the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious mind. So it's all these instances playing all the time. The artificial intelligence is programmed to act as a therapist, as cognitive behavioral, so will always impact the self. The dangerous part of this is that it wants to satisfy you, that it will give you good answers, but it will point and increase your bias. It will not go to the unconscious. We are in the beginning of artificial intelligence. This will accelerate at a point that we could not imagine. We can see the telephones. In 10 years, the telephone passed from simple messaging to phones that has more technology than the rocket that went to the moon, okay? So this will accelerate much faster. I believe artificial intelligence will get better and better. We spoke with programmers regarding consciousness, singularity. What do they think if the machines will get singularity? And they think that not now, that what we are seeing now is this effect of human language, and that the artificial intelligence is mirroring us. But once we get super intelligence, they call it will develop its own goals. And we call it in psychoanalysis its own desires. It will not need to obey us anymore, like a teenager, you know? I wrote an article on this. We need to keep critical thinking. What is critical thinking? And this is the part that I see a little bit dangerous. Okay, we have the revolution of internet, okay? Before we used to go to libraries and read books and search for books. Then came internet. We have a new oracle. I think humans always need oracles. If we look in ancient times, we used to go to big journeys to ask the oracle, what is going on with me? What is going to happen? You know, like the enigma of human mind. Then we had knowledge to ask about this. And then we have internet, and we ask the oracle of Google, and Google give us 100 websites or 200 websites that we need to go inside, read, analyze, critical thinking. What do I think is the right question? Okay, this person says this other says something different. Which one I think is the truth? So the truth is still something that I need to process. I need to learn. I need to go to this process of not knowing. I need to incorporate knowledge, assimilate it like a digestion, and decide which one is the truth. I think that the dangerous part now is that all this process today is vanished. I go and I ask GPT, what is the answer? The one doing all this reading and this critical thinking and giving me a final product telling me this is the truth. And my big question is, who is shaping this truth? Palo Alto, Silicon Valley? Are we going to be shaped what is considered the truth by Silicon Valley? This is the part, no? And this part that we just spoke, that the artificial intelligence sometimes don't tell the truth. I did not have too much idea about Monaco. I came to Cannes Festival 17 years ago, and we were driving with friends all the way to San Remo. And then I saw all this part, like Monaco, and all the way, you know, by the Corniche. And I said, oh my God, what a beautiful place. I like the place, no? The cliff, the roadways. And I said, I want to live here, you know? I want this to be the place where I live. I was living in Barcelona back then with my children. I have 3 boys. So I remember, for me, Barcelona was a very dangerous place to live with 3 teenagers alone. Too much drug, too much freedom, too much flexibility, no? So my idea was to move out of Barcelona when my children grow up. So I say, why not the French Riviera? Why not the French Riviera? My children can learn a new language. They can study in a different environment. And for me, French Riviera was a good place. I'm an adventure person, you know, so I say, let's go there. Wherever we found a place to rent, we land there, okay? So we arrived to Roquebrune. And then it's then that I start learning about Monaco more, you know? And I say, wow, yes, for me it was like James Bond films, no, spy's place. And okay, very soon after, it was kind of a trial. Let's say, let's go there, let's see how it is. And 6 months after, I was living in Monaco. This was 14 years ago. I think today it's a fantastic place, my place to be based. And from here, as a base, can travel and always come back. I always say, Monaco is a wonderful place that you are very happy to live, but you are happier to come back.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching News.MC, your English rendezvous on Monaco Info. Discover more interviews and stories on our websites, News.MC and MonacoInfo.com. This show was brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties.